Okay, so let's play red flag, green flag. So Alona and I are going to bring up situations and you're going to tell us if it's a red flag or a green flag and why.
Okay. We should have a beige flag, maybe. Beige.
So the first one is if a partner says, I want full custody on day one.
That's a red flag.
Why is it a red flag?
Well, the law in California says that it's in children's best interest to have frequent, continuous contact with both parents. And so the family court and even the juvenile court is going to create paths, right, for both parents to be involved in a child's life. All right. And so full custody, people have this idea in their mind that it means that this other parent doesn't get the opportunity to be involved at all. And if that's their mindset going in, and some reframing needs to happen in order to properly set their expectations.
How would you recommend that someone acts if their partner says, I want full custody on day one of the announcement of the divorce?
Well, I try and explain to them what the law says and what the law is going to do, which is going to give their partner a path or an opportunity, right, to be an active parent in the child's life.
I think a lot of times people say that they don't really understand what it means.
Yeah.
I think they'll say, I want full custody, but they actually want the other parent to see their children just on a specific schedule. And they don't know that doesn't mean they're getting full custody. They're going to have primary custody and the other parent will have the rights of visitation.
It does indicate a desire for control over the situation.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I don't practice in family law, but I've seen a lot of times where people will use custody as a weapon against the other spouse or ex-spouse or parent and they'll say that just to hurt the other person.
Absolutely. Sometimes they'll be open about that desire and sometimes it'll be borne out by the other.
What about going to child welfare services interview when they knock on your door and leave a business card without legal counsel?
Huge red flag.
Why?
Anytime you're dealing with the government, they're going to tell you things such as, we just need to hear your side of the story. Give us your version so we can write it up in favor of you and be done with it. Because I just need to talk to you and then write this down and it'll be okay. And the reality is that everything you say, they'll find a way to use against you if they feel like there's a risk to the child. Even if that risk seems very minimal, right? You'll see this with police. You'll see this with child welfare services. Talk to an attorney first. But understand that you're under no obligation to talk to them.
I would assume it's extremely emotional. And when you're emotional, you're not rational. That's inevitable. You could be giving a statement because it's innate, I think, to want to tell your side of the story and want to, tell everyone you didn't do anything wrong. And very important to take a step back and remember that even with the best intentions, you could accidentally misstate something that later will be used to, make you out to be a liar.
I mean, you could be asked by a child welfare service worker, do you ever drink? Don't lie about that. If you ever drink, even socially, say yes, because the moment you say no, most likely they're going to doubt the rest of what you said. But if you're asked, did you drink on any specific occasion, then that's a different question.
Red flag or green flag, keeping a shared bank account open during separation.
Oh, that's a red flag.
Why is it red?
Well, because something is going to happen that's going to cause some problems with this account, right? At some point in the future, somebody's going to make some expenditure that becomes the source of some degree of conflict. The sooner you can, I think, clearly account for what could be community or separate property from the outset of the case and have some clear boundaries limits the disagreements that will happen in the future.
So California is a community property state, which means that everything both parties earn during the marriage is community property, equal, for both parties. But once you separate, does the community property separate?
Yeah.
Immediately? Do you have to file anything?
The property itself doesn't separate, but the idea that the property earned during the time period after separation is that it now becomes separate property.
Acquisition rule. If something was acquired during the marriage or while the parties are together, then it's presumed to be community property. If it's acquired after date of separation, then it's presumed to be separate property, but it's just a presumption. Presumption can be overcome by evidence that's presented. During period of separation, you purchase something, although it is presumed to be separate property. If you use community money from joint account to purchase it, then you'll probably overcome the presumption that it's separate property.
So is the date of separation a date when something is filed or submitted, or is it just when you decide that you're being separated?
It depends. I mean, it is looked at in terms of objective factors, but sometimes the parties will disagree as to when the separation happened. Living together can be messy, especially with somebody that you love and you built a life with, and there might be brief periods of love or romance, right, that could then be used to argue, oh, man, we weren't separated. This was a reconciliation that happened.
There has to be mutual meeting of the minds, and it's clear to both parties that the marriage is over. So if you want to be sure that your finances are separate, you send a text message about it. You then don't text about how you love each other and you may get back together. There has to be clear, definite, hey, it's over. And if you're continuing to live together for financial reasons, then if arguing over date of separation in family court later, questions you'll be asked by the attorneys in deposition or trial will be, were you having sex still together? And one may say, yeah, we still slept together and I have pictures or I have photos or we slept on Christmas or whatever may have happened. That's relevant. Have you been going to conjoint therapy together, try to save the relationship? If you have a text message, it's over, but you're going to conjoint therapy or tried therapy to save the relationship, then you're not separated. That'll be strong evidence against your date of separation.
When should you open a separate bank account and close a joint account?
I think when you are fearful that the end really is here is probably the best time to do it. Like if you have that fear that it might be over, that's probably the time to start taking.
And it'll definitely be over.